Good morning. It's day, I think, like 40 something. I've kind of lost track. We left Irwin a few days ago. We're moving a little bit slow into Irwin because a few of us had noro. I luckily did not get it. But so we had to take a few slower mileage days so that everybody could get healthy again. And then we neroed in Irwin. And then I am actually pushing ahead of the tramily again for a few days because tomorrow morning I will be in Carver's Gap, which is basically like home for me. Though 19 East is really home because I'm going to hike Carver's Gap to 19 East with one of my best friends. And then from 19 East, I'm actually gonna go home for a few days, just a few days though, and I'm actually gonna pick up the tramily so they can come hang out too. But yeah, gonna get a few rest days at 19 East and share my favorite little corner of Western North Carolina with my tramily because we're all feeling better. But yeah, so I'm pushing ahead. Should be at Roan tomorrow, which I'm super duper excited for. I think it's gonna be really emotional for me because Roan is kind of where all of this dream kind of came together. So it's going to be emotional to hit 19 East for me and all the markers along the way to 19 East from here. So, but yeah, it's been a good few days. Irwin was fun and restful, but now I'm ready to pick up a few more big mile days and get some rest at home, and then kick it some more with big miles. So it's a little cold this morning. Woke up to 32 degrees. You know, like I kind of expected that. But at the same time, it also always kind of sucks because you think it's almost May. But anyways, so it's cold. It's a good day. Sun is shining. I'm tired, but I'm healthy. And yeah, it's gonna be a good week 7. I think that's where we're at on the AT. So loving it, loving the people I'm hiking with, and can't wait to see what's next.
It had been a tough decision to hike away from my tramily yet again, but at the same time, they wanted to take an extra 0 day in Irwin, and I was ready to hike. And I had also made plans with a friend to hike at Carver's Gap with them. So I decided to push ahead and keep hiking.
Oh, also, when we were resupplying in Irwin, I grabbed some kombucha because it has a lot of, probiotics. And we've all been having some stomach issues because that's what your body does when you've been eating dehydrated stuff for like 7 weeks. And I thought the probiotics would be good for me. But then the next day when I hiked out, I became a true through hiker, which you don't know what that means. Basically means that you shit your pants. So that was fun. It's kind of mortifying as an adult, but laughing about it now. And yeah, hopefully no more kombucha for me in town. But yeah, that's the reality of the trail sometimes. It was a really good morning that day. That just kind of, made the afternoon a little bit more not fun, but still happy to be out here. Would rather shit my pants out here than shit my pants anywhere else.
Needless to say, shitting my pants right after getting back on trail was not necessarily something that I wanted to do, but it happened, and you know what? You just have to keep going and keep hiking and hope that it doesn't ever happen again. And even that couldn't keep me from being excited from reaching Carver's Gap and the Roan Highlands. Back when I decided that I wanted to thru hike the Appalachian Trail, I had never been backpacking before, and my first backpacking trip ended up being a winter overnight trip on the Roan Highlands. It was cold, I didn't sleep well, I didn't know anyone else on the trip, and I had learned how to dig my first cat hole that morning. And despite all that, I absolutely fell in love with backpacking and being that immersed in nature, and I knew that I would one day step foot on the Appalachian Trail and once again follow these white blazes over the Roan Highlands. The closer we started to get to Carver's Gap, the more emotional I was getting. I had hiked this trail in almost every season. I've seen the rhododendrons bloom and the fall colors, and I never get tired of it.
We're almost at Carver's Gap.
I recognized the familiar terrain, the trees, the gravel, and my excitement was building with each and every step. And then we were there, and I was so excited to see my friend and to hike with her for the day. We had also gone on one of our first backpacking trips together as friends to Roan, and so it was a special place for so many different reasons, and it was just such a special day to enjoy the sunshine and the beauty of the trail with some of my favorite people. I know it sounds silly, but it's like the trail provided this beautiful sunshiny day for us to enjoy and for me to fall in love with hiking through the Roan Highlands all over again. If you've never been to the Roan Highlands, then let me just tell you about them. They're balds, and so they have 360-degree views all around them, and you go in and out of little forest as you walk across the expanse of the Roan Highlands. And if you have had the opportunity to walk through these beautiful mountains, then you know exactly what I'm talking about when I say that they absolutely take your breath away. The way that they show off those Blue Ridge Mountain blue hues will never cease to amaze me. But besides the fact that I was enjoying reveling in the beauty of the Roan Highlands, it was so special to have my friend Rin come and hike with me. I hadn't seen her since I started the trail, and she even brought boba for us to enjoy when we ate lunch, and it was just such a special moment. And then when we were able to see the ridgeline of Grandfather Mountain from where we were on the trail, that became even more special because the Grandfather Mountain is one of my favorite places to hike at home. And being here on Roan, finally doing the through hike of the Appalachian Trail that I had dreamed about for so long, I was just in unbelievable awe the entire day of how far that I had come since that girl 6 years ago who just dreamed of hiking the trail. Despite the fact that I was loving every single moment of this section of trail, it was a little bit tough to do all the 15 miles in one day. Because I had been sick and then my tramily had been sick, my mileage was down and so was my stamina for doing big mile days. And also it was somewhat hard to not break up this section into another day just to savor the walk through it. Most of this week my content is about Roan, and that's because it was my favorite part of the week. The Roan Highlands have been inspiring me since I first set foot on them. And they'll continue to inspire me as I walk down the trail and continue on towards Maine and Katahdin. And then we finally hit an iconic sign. We were leaving North Carolina for the last time, and we only had a few hundred miles left of Tennessee. And with the sight of that sign, I knew we were only a few miles from reaching 19 East to reaching home. And although my biggest goal was to reach Maine and Katahdin, I was feeling very fulfilled in that moment to have reached and walked to 19 East. I had walked home.
19 East! I made it home! Barbie, what are you doing?
Swinging.
After getting to 19 East, Ren had driven me and Barbie home to my house. And though we didn't quite plan to spend that much time away from the trail, we ended up spending the next 3 days enjoying Boone, Blowing Rock, and all that the high country of North Carolina had to offer. My tramily ended up joining us for 2 of those 3-0 days, and honestly, some drama had gone down after Barbie and I had hiked ahead. This ended up making time that I thought would be relaxing at home into something that was somewhat stressful. I was honestly grateful when it was time to get back on trail, though I was sad to say goodbye to my mom again. I had hoped that the rift that had started while Barbie and I hiked on would be better when we got back on trail, but instead, that first day back on trail, our tramily decided to split ways again. There's more to this story, of course, but only some of it are parts that are mine to tell. I was hiking away from people I wasn't sure I was ready to hike away from, and I was hiking with a few certain people that I was ready to not hike with anymore.
It was stressful. In the 400 miles that I had been on trail, I hadn't had to deal with something like this yet. And as an introvert, I was struggling with the best way to handle it. But until I figured that out, I was savoring every moment with the people I was enjoying hiking and being with on the trail. I had enjoyed hiking through Tennessee, with the exception of the lack of privies, but I really loved the section through the Roan Highlands and the section that followed. The section that we were currently in was absolutely stunning. There were many little spots that I put on my list to come back to later on after the trail. And the waterfalls through this section, there were so many and they were so pretty, and I didn't realize that so much of this beauty was so close to home. It was also in Tennessee where I spotted my first ever lady slipper, and I was so excited to spot this new to me and my internal nature collection plant. So far, Tennessee had proved to be a mentally challenging state, but I was still absolutely loving every second and every little moment in nature that I got to spend out here hiking down the Appalachian Trail.